episode 6. What's going on? Welcome to Sam and Nobe podcast. My name is Sam Stowers. Across the table is...
My name is Nobe, one Kenobi.
What's happening, man?
Chilling.
Dude, did you watch Cosmos last night?
I didn't. I don't have TV.
Oh, man.
Boo.
No, you'll be seeing it streaming somewhere like that. I wouldn't be surprised. Usually Fox will go put stuff a week after. It's something to get excited about.
Oh, no, I heard it was awesome. I did watch that little 30-second spot with the president being like, hey, the universe is pretty cool, kids. Check this one out.
Yeah, but I kind of wish I didn't do that. Because it on its own, I mean, I feel like it kind of gave it like the corny stamp of approval a little bit. Because on its own, like they keep it.
The president likes it.
Yeah.
Nerdy shit.
Yeah, boo-hoo. What are you going to tell us next? Say no to drugs. Stupid president.
We're going to skateboard.
Yeah. Where's my Bart Simpson t-shirt? Well, they kept really true to Sagan style. Like a lot of it is based off of the episodes they have. I think there may be extensions in the way they differ it. But, yeah, I definitely could see it being one of those things where, like, it blows up for them like 24 did. But just with the fact that it's based off science, like, it kind of puts it all in a new light. That and, dude, Tyson can talk.
Well, yeah, that was one of the things. I've watched a lot of Cosmos in my time. And one of the things about Carl Sagan speaking about these things is it didn't sound like a textbook. There's genuine, love there for what he's talking about and a knowledgeability where it doesn't feel like he's reading off a sheet. Like, it would be, Carl Sagan walking along the coast being like, the world, most interesting, beautiful blue jewel captured in the night sky. Like,
just putting you to sleep,
Yeah,
like,
just a beautiful voice. But like when he was, when he was getting down to it, he knew exactly what he was talking about. And it wasn't, the most high level shit. It was really trying to get people interested.
Well, and when he explains it, he's showing his passion for it too.
Exactly.
I mean, the way it's going. So it's like, yo, get amped with me. I'm getting amped. And Tyson's is that they got a lot of, there's Hollywood in it. Like,
oh yeah, I heard there's
sure.
a ton of CG and stuff, and I know.
Well, not even CG. Like that's something I expected, and it's like cool. They're using this as a tool where it's like these things we're describing, we could show it immersively now.
Yeah.
So let's do that, and went and use that. But there's little things where it's like, all right, who added that script? Like they go and reference because this whole thing is introduction into astronomy. It going through the church and stuff like that, which he's really, super accurate with. Not necessarily accurate's not the word. Obviously he's accurate, but very black and white with it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing a lot of stuff from right wing where it's like, oh, it's anti-church, and like people saying ridiculous stuff about that because there are times like they animate various astronomers and philosophers like getting hated on and going through the Inquisition for it.
Your
and
God
so
isn't big enough, right?
Right.
Yeah. See, I read a whole bunch. I read a whole bunch about it. And that's something Sagan did. I don't know. Did you watch the old series?
What? I've seen a couple episodes.
Well, there's one that comes a little later in it, and he's talking about this guy that basically had theorized that I think it was our moon shot out of Jupiter, or it might have been Venus or something like that. Venus was inside Jupiter and like got launched out and then into orbit. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, yeah, this is this guy's idea. Too bad he's so fucking wrong. And
what?
Like, he's basically like just.
He really just shuts the dude down.
Oh yeah, I mean, because it's a fucking corny. That's improv. There's no science behind it. It's like, no, that's not how that happened, sir. And so, and you see during the show, he's not so much downing science or downing other or any religion in particular, and especially not faith. He's saying that he's really just like, open your eyes, man, because
and
like,
that when you show stuff black and white, you're gonna show faults and things that are romanticized to one side or the other.
Right.
That go a little bit more. I mean, that's the hardest part with walking line on anything, is left and right. People both get ridiculous on both sides, right? And so, I mean, like, you're gonna go and show those faults where people think, oh, you're dissing that or you're dissing that. No. this side messed
Just try to
up
be
with it.
objective.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
science.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird how much people mistake honesty for meanness.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's definitely an art to doing it to where it comes off smoothly, but
You can get the honesty out and not be held as a prick afterwards, but you can also do it, and it's walking that fine line, especially on a program on Fox. You imagine there's gonna be it's one of those things where it's like, Fox is really doing that.
yeah. And then you get that hope because it's like, all right, in conjunction with National Geographic, okay, I feel slightly better about it. But yeah, it's Fox, so it's like, all right, there's gonna be explosions.
Yeah,
That's for sure. And
him putting
that's
on
why they
the shades.
yeah, and like that's the Fox thing where I was like, oh yeah, this is on Fox when he's talking about life coming to Earth and talking about the first microbes. This is us, this is all that, and he shows a connection throughout. And he's like, they gave us life, they also gave us sex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, it's Fox. On to
Yeah.
the next, but. They do the whole cosmic calendar thing.
Yeah,
that
no,
Sagan
and the
did.
cosmic, and I think that's one of those tools that's really cool for people that don't have a worldview that necessarily supports the idea that the world or the universe has been around this long, or even people that do. It gives a very awesome visual indicator of exactly how long we've been around.
An amazing
and the
perspective.
scope. Yeah, the scope of the universe is incredible. Not only just in terms of its size, but how long it's been around and how the whole thing works. And so, the idea of science is constantly we're just trying to poke and prod
Right.
and figure out what's around us and how it works and why it works eventually.
Yeah, but I mean, giving it the modern day makeover, dude.
Yeah,
Dude,
was it like iOS 7 calendar?
Oh yeah, and like he's walking on the calendar, and it shows like this whole span as it goes through the calendar, like the original visual one they had. But then as he gets to each date, like he falls into it and is like, kind of walking through like these little star nurseries where they're burning so hot that they're creating all these elements and stuff like that. Like he's immersed in the space via his little space pod.
Yeah, no, this
That he
ship
goes
of
through.
the imagination.
Exactly, the ship of the imagination. And
A voyage.
yeah, no, and he kills it.
I
Like,
love
dude,
crossing.
like that is the thing that shines the most. Isn't just that, all right, you gave these visuals to this cool stuff and you're going to make it interesting because you have people who are making stuff for primetime TV, but it's this particular host. Dude knows to sell when to sell. Like he knows like, all right, this is going to be a big part. So he gets like real passionate. Like, we are Stardust, and it's like, dude, if this show blows up, Tyson's going to blow up. Like,
Well, I mean, he's already been kind of the figurehead for making science.
in the mainstream.
Yeah.
Like everyone who's like into that sort of stuff, it's like him and Kaku. It's like, yeah, these are the kind of rock star guys a little bit.
Right.
But
See, that's one of those things about Kaku, though, being like, I don't know. I've always thought Mr. Tyson was a little more grounded, being a theoretical physicist as Kaku is, and like generally a futurist. Like, that's a little less science fact than I would like.
He blurs the line. His base though is pretty solid. Like what was I reading through Parallel Worlds? And it was really like that was the other thing that was interesting for the cosmos to me is like, oh, I've read a couple of books that go and try and get into the multiverse, and kind of in order to do that you have to go and explain all of the universe and like how they all have this similar fashion where it's like, all right, this is the idea, and before they even tell you the history of the universe, to get to the history of the universe they have to get to the history of studying the universe, to kind of show these perspectives.
Right.
And then like both of them kind of go with what we know and the history of the research we use to know what we know all at the same time, and it kind of legs up. Kaku a little bit more from what I've seen in the cosmos, but I don't know. It's just interesting seeing the similarities to that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I'm just excited that. I mean, I can't think of a weirder team up of people. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Fucking with Seth. What's his face from?
Oh, Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane and Fox, and the president's doing the Open. It's like, all right,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah,
Is that
it's one of those things where it's like, all right, this is either going to be the worst thing in the world, and they just threw people at it, or these people actually had these different people had a common vision, and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And it might be great, dude.
I mean, I was reading the Reddit feed as it was going on, and everybody seemed to really enjoy it. So
Yeah, we'll see. I'm just interested in seeing where this thing's gonna go, like, and how pop culture accepts it.
Yeah.
Like, that's
I wonder what the ratings. I mean, if the ratings are strong, that's awesome, and that not only does that prove that the show can be viable, but people are interested and like really curious about it. Would the idea? There's so much talk about how much money we spend budget wise on things like NASA, and I think shows like this are the propellants that get those budgets increased. And the more people are curious, this more scared you are, the more likely you are to put money into your national defense. The more intrigued you are by the nature of our universe, maybe the more money we'd be willing to put into NASA.
well, yeah.
I know that telescope's going up in like 2018 or something like that. And it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of stuff that opens up. And hopefully, I mean, when I was a kid, I was so excited about outer space. I just couldn't believe that this shit was going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really get into that until probably my late teens. Like, because me, when I was a little kid, it was what was before us. It's like, dude, dinosaurs? Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was my whole thing as a little kid. It's like, these unbelievable creatures lived,
Right.
They do a cool little thing in that where they basically talk about the original mass that Earth came off of, and like one little rock hit, and like basically he uses an illustration of how little things have one big effects.
Yeah.
Like, obviously this didn't happen. He's like, oh, and then this rock hit it and went 1 inch to the right. That inch makes a big difference, as he's explaining the universe. And then when he gets to the whole thing with life on Earth, he goes, hey, you remember that thing that hit an inch to the left? And the meteor that kills the dinosaurs comes down. Uses that as an illustration. But I don't know. It's, that was my thing when I was younger. And then it's just expanded where it's like, yeah, like, when you go and find how minuscule we are in scale to everything else, I think it kind of it gives you a better perspective for dealing with your own life.
Oh, yeah.
That I think most people I know that are into that sort of stuff also share the idea of little shit's just a little shit, man.
Right.
No,
for sure. Well, one of the things I really like too is the idea that the original Cosmos did a fantastic job at pinpointing how small we are precisely, but then how much of how much of the universe we're a part of, and that we are made of star stuff, that we are star stuff, that we, that we're going to continue, after we all die and the, world collapses, we're back in the fold of this huge machine that is just constantly changing and evolving and pushing out and contracting. And like, it's just weird. We're like,
yeah.
what the
they show that whole dynamic of, yes, you're little, but you're a cog in the gears, and every little cog has a difference. Like, they do a good thing of showing insignificance in scale, but at the same time, like, all the things that matter came from something that was insignificant in scale.
Right.
Like all the little random chances, or, if we were if like at the Big Bang it's half a degree off, it doesn't happen.
Right.
And what goes and changes half a degree, and all these sort of things, that goes and kind of gives that power back.
I agree. I'm really excited it's back. That was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, and I had began rewatching it a couple, maybe like 2 years ago. It's all on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
Another good show is Connections.
I wonder if it still is now that they're doing the update. If they went and took them
I'm
all
sure.
off.
I think it's like, fuck, that shit's almost so old it's in public domain or whatever,
You think so?
It's getting, it's old.
What is public domain?
No, it's probably like 75 years. I don't think it's near it. But I think that because it might have been a PBS show originally, that it's free anyway.
Oh, okay.
No, another one is, I think it's James Burke's Connections. If you haven't watched that, it's an amazing show from the late 70s, 80s. It's kind of like Cosmos, but on a much smaller scale. It's more about like world events, and what he does is he connects, like, he'll start off an episode generally like around like present time, 1978 for the show, but and he would point out something kind of marvelous in our time, and then he basically goes back and shows you how that originated. I mean, but not
So
just.
he does a cause and effect backwards of everything.
He starts at the beginning. He like, or the episode will begin and he'll be like in a paper mill.
Tarantino history.
Yeah, right. Yeah, seriously, too many machine guns, but it's all right. No, he'll start somewhere and be like, "Oh, aren't airplanes fucking dope?" And then he'll go back, like, a couple hundred years, and then talk about some guy that seemingly has nothing to do with having airplanes around. It was like this French banker in this villa, and fast forward because they needed, this is all kind of out of sync, but it's like we needed to secure food for Napoleon's war. Like they needed to have rations because supply lines were being cut and things are getting winded, so bottling them in champagne bottles, and that moved into different forms of preservation, and then this got this moved over here, and then
this
happened,
technology could also be used for this,
and now you have speedboats.
Yeah. It makes sense once you put it together. Thank you for solving it.
It's really he's just as cool as Sagan and Tyson.
But once again, it's cool because it's all these programs where you think it's just supposed to be science and stuff like that, but ultimately what you get from it is, yes, in scale we're small, but we all have an effect. Even if you do nothing, that causes an effect. It's empowering. By showing the lack of power there is with everything.
You might feel like you're not changing stuff, but some things can't be felt at certain scales. It's like if you started to drain the ocean right now, we probably wouldn't notice for a while, but then you start to notice. It's like if that analogy of something moving.
We're going through that. I mean, what's been going on since, I would say, 20s, 40s, and stuff like that. I mean,
climate change and stuff.
Yeah, all that. I mean, we're already experiencing that to a sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think we experience it
I
think we experience it every day with everything, and I think it's up to people that have the financial backing and the intention to show people. I don't know. I think that the idea that there could be another show, which I don't know how long this has been on, like fucking primetime TV, or I guess Sunday nights isn't primetime, but having a fucking educational show on TV again. Holy shit.
And honestly, if you think about it, that goes and kind of makes sense with the combo of Tyson and McFarlane going and being the executive producer. You have this guy who was, if you look at everything it's done, it's all references to things he saw in his childhood, like TV references, stuff like that. So obviously, and he's an intelligent dude, so Cosmos is part of that. So he's got that in his heart. And who better to match up than a guy who really knows his stuff? I mean, he's a scientist, but at the same time is a good public speaker, knows how to put it out there, with a guy who has been making his career off of people like this in prime time.
Entertaining.
Entertaining. And this lot, even the same goddamn night.
Right.
It's like, all right, cool, we got that bridge between us. So it makes sense, that partnership, when you kind of look at what the goal they're trying to reach.
Yeah. And
definitely.
Fucking more power to him.
Yeah.
Good job, Fox.
Yeah. First time I said that in so it's like Simpsons are married with children. Yeah. I think.
I was actually watching some Simpsons last night, and I just ceases to amaze me, or never ceases to amaze me how funny that show is. I watch a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm lately, and I laugh out loud during that. A lot of TV that I watch, it's just, I'm not digging it. Like, it's just not that funny to me. And then I kick back to The Simpsons, and I'm like, oh, there it is.
Like, are you talking about the classic jokes that you knew, or?
Yeah, because I've seen all the episodes like a fucking 1,000 times, but it's just so great. Just some of it, like, especially the older seasons, like maybe before season 9 or 10. It might even be farther than that.
Well, that was when it was rich. Between 4 and 10 is when it's classic Simpsons, where like you and I have probably seen each of those episodes 3 times.
Right. They changed so much to the art, though. And that's one of those things that if you watch...
Yeah, their Futurama work and their Simpsons movie work completely... I mean, even before that, they had stages.
They moved over to more computer. I mean, everything's digital now, seemingly. Yeah. And there's such a beauty to, like, the first and second season, and even the third season, with the color palette that they chose. Like, shapes don't sit, like, nothing.
Yeah.
Everything's like...
It looks handmade.
It looks like a fucking bottle, but it's not, like... There's perspectives all wrong. Like,
And then
it's
they
cool.
go and use that off perspective to go add it to the joke the next season because they realize this themselves.
Right, like I don't know. There's a really cool thing this guy did on Reddit. He's an animator, and he took the beginning shot where Maggie's in the fucking grocery
Shopping
cart.
cart.
Yeah, and she gets pushed or whatever, and Marge turns her head to look, and the old one is so cool because she like swings her head, but her hair like takes time to like meet up with it and like kind of flips into position. And the new one, she just like robotically turns her head, and there's none of
Really?
the
They
like
took
really
that
cool fucking. I mean, a lot of it is because it's cheaper. You got to like do what makes financial sense, and
then a lot of
there's
times
many more frames and animation or money.
Yeah, that, and I mean, a lot of times you could set it up to where it'll just go fill in what goes to this frame to that frame, so you get those little nuances out of it. That gets kind of taken out of it. I don't know. I've kind of gone through a Simpsons revival myself because, like, it was one of those things going through high school. Yeah, I watched all of it, and then probably, luckily because I missed like the years after, probably like 12. So like 12 to 18 when it really wasn't that good because they're working on Futurama. So you could tell better writers went to that. And then Family Guy's coming up. So Simpsons is still being what they were. But it's just not hitting because either someone else is doing it better or they don't have the right people writing.
Right.
And then, like I want to say 18 or 19. This is also around the same time that the movie came out.
It got significantly better.
Oh, yeah. It goes because they realize, like, no, Family Guy is doing an amped up version of what we used to do.
Right.
They went and turned that shit to 11. So why are we trying to compete that? Our other niche has always been intelligent humor and putting jokes where you don't expect them to be jokes. And those
being
jokes
subtle.
different.
Like I think there's so much to say
like
for
a
being
cartoon
subtle.
found its niche by being subtle.
Right.
Like that cartoon. That's awesome.
Some of the jokes in season the seasons we talked about, like pretty much 1 through 10 to me, are just so fucking good. They're just this tiniest thing. It's like even just the visual gags are fucking hilarious, man.
Because they're going off the pretense of knowing what's coming. Like classic one I always thought was actually in the movie, like perfect version of this, where it's Homer with the hammer on the roof.
Yep.
You know where it's gonna go, and it's like fall through the roof, in the eye.
Yeah.
Like that is the perfect example of Simpsons humor.
It's just doing exactly. It's building up a scenario you expect something to happen and then doing something different, or it's just. I mean, he's like a classic. He's just such a classic character. I can't imagine anybody more.
The other thing they're amazing at is going
cooler.
and mixing either the grotesque or the ridiculous with the heartfelt.
Yeah.
Another example, Nelson. I'm going to use the red arrow, so I know which kills are mine. So pride, so beautiful, but it's like talking about which kills are mine.
I remember when
beautiful.
Was it Nelson's in love with Lisa, and she goes
Joy to the world.
I think it was Joy to the World, and then she goes back to his house and is in his bedroom, and she's like scanning around his room, and there's this poster that says "Nuke the whales," and she's like, "Nuke?" She's like, "Nuke the whales?" And he's like, "Gotta nuke something." And it's fucking perfect. Like the timing's great. I don't know. It's just so fucking funny, man.
Yeah, no, but yeah. So now I'm enjoying going back to these episodes 17 on that I hadn't seen, and like that's still like fucking 60 gigs.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a huge fucking library that they have. But going through that, and it's just like, I have like 6 seasons of new Simpsons episodes. It's quality Simpsons episodes. It's a beautiful thing.
You should come over here to do the marathon with us. I want to jam it out. I want to do like a season.
Oh, just jam out a season?
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that. Okay. That sounds awesome. Maybe we'll do like a mid Simpsons podcast while we're watching it. I don't know. We'll find out some way to do it so it's not annoying.
Because that's all we'll be talking about, The Simpsons.
Yeah, pretty much, man. So we're doing a short cast tonight, so I don't even know if I want to bring this up because honestly, we can go an hour on this. We've been going, as you guys know, we rap, we do various stuff, and going through that journey, just what it means to be definition MC has been bouncing my head. Should we even tackle that today?
It's a big fish, man.
That's a big fish, one I want to catch. I think that should just be a teaser for next week.
Okay.
Next week we'll go tackle that. So next week, what is an MC? That's what we're doing over there. But as for right now, dude, so back on The Simpsons.
All right.
Another amazing thing I saw is I went through a list of guest stars because I went and did a trivia question for a side gig I got. And, like, their guest stars is amazing. Like, not just like, oh, they got this big name, but that's another thing that kind of speaks to the intelligence of the show and the intelligence of the humor in the show is who they go get guest star. Like, you know, episode where it was really it was about dueling comic book stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. They had Alan Moore. They
Yep.
had comic book writer Alan Moore on there. Like, I think Neil Gaiman was on that too. And I don't know if I pronounced his name right. Like, I think he was on that too, but it's not like, oh, he's a huge star, but it's like, you guys knew to get him. You knew to get Alan Moore. That's so sick.
Oh, they're geeks, man. The Simpson crew is going to be just the geekiest dudes.
Like, Frank Gehry's been on the show. Architect Frank Gehry. The guy who did EMP and all that stuff. Like, that's rad that they, you know, needed to get that. Hawking's been on 5 to 6 times,
okay.
you know, in some form. Like,
And it's cool that people, and not only are they shooting for those people are like, yeah, it's fucking Simpsons.
well, I mean, I think at this point, it's one of those shows that it's been on so long that it's like, you know, that's one of your little claims. Like, not a Hollywood, like, star in the Hollywood fame, but it's like, oh, you really made it. You're in a Jeopardy question. Or, no, dude, this is my thing. I have my Simpsons animation on my wall. This is what I now know what I look like in Simpsons world.
Right? Man, I think about, like, when they had Phil Hartman.
Oh,
doing,
Troy McClure
seriously?
was the MVP of the early ones. Well, Phil Hartman was because he did so much more than McClure.
Yeah.
But the Hartman
So
characters.
fucking great, man. I love. They were doing this this beginning of the episode, and he's basically it's in Krabappel's class, and it's a Birds and the Bees video, and it's these two like bunnies from the 70s because they got old tapes or whatever, and it's just the funniest. He's like, don't. He says
I know
about
exactly what you're talking about. The blue little bunny.
Yeah, the throbbing urges, and just like some of the wordplay, man.
Suppressed.
So fucking.
Yeah,
just
dude,
great,
like,
man. Classic shit.
Hartman was, man, dude, he's one of those dudes. Like, what would Hartman be doing right now? Like, imagine a Hartman, comedic actor of that talent, being able to interact with the newer generations. Like imagine a Hartman Farrell movie. That'd been ridiculous. You know?
See, I always thought he played a better, either an informative character or he plays a great bad guy.
No, and I'd probably see him taking that place. Like, Phil Hartman as like, CEO of Enron, like something like that. Like he would play it to a T, where it's like, it's a play off of The Straight Man, where it's like, yep, this is it. This is what we do. It's all business, but that business is completely fucking crooked, and I'm fucking my best friend's wife and driving off my Porsche and flicking my cigarette out the window. Like that's what Hartman did so well.
I would love to see him do. I wish he was alive just so he could do everything as unfrozen caveman lawyer.
Really? That one?
I'm just a caveman. Like, I don't understand your fancy planes, but can I get a vodka Red Bull or like? It's so funny.
I saw the video of my assailant on this crazy glass screen with fire coming out of it. I thought the gods were giving me a message. Like, yeah, and that's why you cannot prove he cheated on this woman over here, and she gets no money. Caveman lawyer. Yeah. You okay?
It's so funny.
No, what was I listening? I was listening to something today where they were talking about Sandler and Rock going on SNL and doing their auditions. And I love this because it gave me some hope as a creative person. They're doing the auditions, and like these 4 guys go on there and they just kill it. And they're like, all right. And then Sandler does his thing, Rock does his thing, and they were doing another round or something. They're about to bounce out, and they ended up getting it. And they're like, why did we get the job? These guys were funnier. And Lorne Michaels was like, because you guys were original thinkers. Like, you guys' humor, I could tell, was humor you came up with. These guys did great versions of this or did that and the other thing. And, like, it's like, I mean, and I think honestly, when you talk about that SNL, like that era, that's the thing they all had in common. Is like it was really original comedy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Farley. No, well, Farley is a little bit of a throwback to Belushi, but with his own spin on it.
Yeah,
You know,
I almost want to say it's more. Hey, fucking Farley was crazy. Like,
yeah,
he played a great crazy guy, but he also played just. It's like you fucking put Chris Farley in any situation, but make him anything other, like trying to represent anything other than a 250, 300-pound white man.
and
Like,
it's gonna be awesome.
and it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, because he knows how to sell and he knows how to go and get those little creases up, like that, and the fact that he could go from buffoon to like little dimples showing.
Yeah.
My goodness, like how much trust did they have to have in him to do the Chris Farley show? Because that, if you go and look at a skit like that, that's really hard to sell. Where it's like, well, no, we're gonna have the guests be really nice, and I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna fuck up on stuff. And I'm gonna be really nervous.
Wait.
Gonna
fall through the table at some point. And
oh no, that was Foley. That was Matt Foley motivational speech.
Oh, true,
but the
true.
Chris Farley show where he's like, "Hey, Bruce Willis, you know in Die Hard when you had to walk on the glass." Yeah, I remember that. No, you remember that? Like you remember? Yeah, I do. That was cool, dude. Like, yeah,
Just the shittiest fucking guy trying to do a show.
Yeah, but it becomes funny because of like the human shit of him being frustrated or like getting nervous and then seeing the interactions. Like, I don't know. I thought that was really original shit at the time.
Yeah, the golden days, man.
Exactly, dude. Like, I don't know. And that's ultimately what you try and catch is when you're at your craft, it's, you may not do this better than the other person or do the other thing, but can you make it so you that like the authenticity shows out that, and it's like, I couldn't have stolen this from anyone because 9 out of 10 people would have told me this was a bad idea.
Right.
Well,
I don't know. I'm worried about the idea that I don't think there's anything hand drawn on TV anymore. That's scary.
Yeah.
That's a scary thing about. I think that I don't. There is some. I find myself resonating with like hand drawn shit because there's imperfections, and in the very clean, perfect world of like CG or even the very clean, animated cartoons currently, like Family Guy, American Dad, Simpsons, South Park.
Oh, look at the difference of South Park. We were talking about Simpsons. Look at the difference between South Park.
It's about the same.
And the first season though.
It's about the same, like in terms of like how huge of a change it is. Like how it went from like Simpsons was so so rudimentary. And same thing with South Park. And, you're on air for a couple of seasons and you get some money pushed into it.
Well, did you hear the work they put in the early because when they started, it was cut out.
It was all cardboard.
And it was a day a minute. So you're doing a month. And this is just in the animation, not necessarily, I don't even think the writing and all that work. So you have over a month per episode. And they switch that to like, God, some of them it looks like they put them out within 24 hours with how point they are with what's happening currently.
Right.
But yeah, when something's handmade like that, I think now we're more sensitive to it because we have so many things that are artificially done. You can connect that human element out of it.
I think so too.
You could see that if you're looking at a picture, you could see that brushstroke that you couldn't describe, but you knew your hand had to do it to go get it out there, and that emotion comes out through it. And I mean, if you can't describe it, if you can't teach it, you're going to have a hell of a hard time programming it, and I don't know. I think like that for me is even like, I understand how useless it is, but I'm on the old school side of the fence when you're talking about cursive. Like, there's something about writing in cursive.
Oh, it's gorgeous, man. Especially when you watch people do calligraphy and stuff. Like, it's I mean, even cursive by itself is really pretty, but like, there's a lost art of writing words down. Like most time, I see a lot of people that have pretty poor penmanship, but then it's because it's supplemented by all the technology you have, where writing things down is second seat to typing it up.
Have you ever had the opportunity to, whether in person or even just seeing a photograph of it online, been able to see like the original lyrics to like some of your favorite stuff, or like
I've seen
rap
some
lyrics and stuff where it's like this was theirs, this was their handwritten one while they came up with it.
It's well, I was living with Amato from Soundcast for a while. We would have just like fucking books everywhere, like 3 hole punch ruled notebooks just everywhere, and so
Right.
he would have stuff in one, and I'd have stuff in there too, and so it was cool to see such a change in like handwriting. He writes really small and precise,
Right.
and in cursive generally, like very small though. Like,
Well, it's quicker when you get it down.
yeah, no,
It's
no, for
amazing.
sure, and I think that's what he was, efficiency wise. But no, seeing how people write is really cool, and I haven't. Actually, I haven't really delved into it that much beyond like personal people. Like I've seen some Psalm stuff, some of Motto stuff, and that's really about it.
Yeah, like I went to, and it's cool because you get so much more of the. I never thought I'd say this, but you get more of the idea of what it is. Like I remember, EMP Trip or something like that, and they have either Purple Haze or Wind Cries Mary. They got the original, and I mean, so you're even seeing where they went and changed that line, where they changed that, but it's like, damn, dude, this guy was like doodling a dragon while he was writing this, or
Right.
you could kind of see that like break in the handwriting before, or like the line out instead of like cries Mary, just screams Mary on the last one, and it's like. It takes you deeper than just hearing the words. You get in that person's brain a little bit because they're leaving evidence of their thought process, and like. And, that's something you can't replicate, even though I do it. You can't replicate it when you write it on Word.
Yep.
I mean, unless you go and put, instead of deleting your old stuff, you put it all towards the end, so you got this junk pile at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you're still not making as deep a connection as when you see it in handwriting. But, I don't know. It's a tricky subject, like how much we should go educate on old forms of communication or old crafts we had before technology came through, and how much we should go on developing newer stuff, because I hate to admit it, I love my notebooks, but how much more of a, like me myself, I'm actually not a notebook guy. I'll write it on a scrap of paper. I'm crazy about creasing a paper in half, and then I write on each side of those, so I got 4 spots I could put it in. But I've lost at least 30 verses around the house.
Right.
Meanwhile, it's like, I know a keyword, I can go search it. So, I mean, sense like that, yeah, it is kind of less efficient, but you feel something. You feel something when you see it.
Having something physical. It's like the debate whether or not, most media is probably in the next 10 years going to be digital only. There's
Right.
something to have like a CD case around your place, or like, to have books or anything. Like there's not a damn piece of media anymore that I couldn't just have on my iPad or on my phone. Like that isn't. I could have every book that's on the shelf over there, every DVD, every CD. Like I don't have to have anything physical anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, really, like, which is cool because it's right there. But honestly, it's like I feel it's so much less secure because I mean now it's all based off this portal to it. Something happens to that portal. All these other
Well, and
if
there's
you
that
don't
big
have
beef with Bruce Willis trying to give his daughter all of his music when he died. Like in his will, he wanted to give her his iTunes library, which is
Bruce Willis
when he
did?
So Bruce Willis got money, so he's probably buying every fucking album, anything
For
he
sure.
wants. I'm sure he has.
That, and with his interests and stuff, though he's a terrible harmonica player, he's probably got 6 terabytes of shit.
Right, and so he wanted to do this, and there's this big shit with Apple about the idea that the end user agreements about what happens to your music when you pass and stuff like that, and so it's not as easy as here's a box. It's we got to call headquarters to see if I can actually give you this shit.
Yeah, damn, that really puts things into perspective.
It's crazy.
Because it's like you bought it, but they're basically saying it's not your stuff.
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, I remember when
you're not paying for the object, you're paying for your right to look at the object.
You're paying for a license to operate.
Yeah.
It's like I remember with the PlayStation 2 and the Xboxes, when I first became aware of that, is the idea that you can't just open up and mod your shit. That's illegal. It's illegal to do that. Like, I bought this thing, but I
Yeah.
can't do, So, like, taking the tag off a mattress. It's like, man, I fucking own this mattress. I can take
that,
tags
sir,
off. I could.
actually is only for the retailers. Once you have
Oh.
it at home, you can take the tag off the mattress.
Oh, there we go.
Because
Mythbusters.
Exactly.
Debunked.
No, apparently it's because if you look at the information, it's like tells what's inside it. So they're saying you can't sell that shit without telling people what's going on here.
Right.
Like, don't black out the nutritional facts here. No.
This mattress has a ton of calories.
Yeah, but no, nonetheless, like, I totally agree with your point. It's like, even with the Xbox, like, oh no, you can't change it. So you're saying, once again, I don't own this. I can just use this one. This one is set to me. Like.
Well,
so
it's crazy.
That goes to defending the older stuff. I mean, create the hard copy so it exists, so it's yours. It's tangible.
Well, and it's one of those debates that goes on. Like, who do you want in control of shit? Like,
right.
And who do you trust?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you trust? And can you trust anybody? And
Yeah, because that goes on to another point. Once you're getting it from an electronic platform, you're now, especially with all the stuff we're hearing, so we're getting super paranoid about the internet,
right,
with all the NSA shit. Now you're getting to the point where it's like, all right, has this already been censored, or has this already gone through a filter before it's gotten to me?
Well, I think that something to look at is that the idea that your shit will never degrade, which is really cool. So is that worth it? Like, that I'll never, if I buy this Beatles album, I know I'll never have to buy it again. Like, Apple ain't going nowhere anytime soon.
Right.
And I know it's never going to get scratched. It's never going to get
but
destroyed.
You're still paying for upkeep and all that stuff in the portal you're using to get it.
No, exactly. So is that worth it?
Yeah.
Is that worth it, never knowing that I won't have to go out and buy another one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's definitely, what I'm trying to do is I have a tier system where it's like, this sounds cool. I'm going to go check this out. So I'm going to go watch it on TV, or I'm going to, pay iTunes to download it or something like that, a couple of tracks, and yeah, that's badass. Okay, cool. But like, if I love it,
you'll get that.
Yeah, like then I'm getting the hard copy, have it, because you're crazy about Lord of the Rings, and yeah, if you've got like all these different versions on your hard drive, that's cool. But you got your little bookcase and your nice little edition of it, like.
I feel that. I like collector's items for sure. Like, I had.
Yeah, it kind of becomes that.
Yeah, and that's I remember when Halo 3 came out. I was like, I love Halo, and I just want to play this game. But I was like, fuck that shit. I'm getting that big helmet. Like, I'm paying an extra $100 so I can get the big helmet. And I thought it's one of those things where it's like fucking pointless.
Oh, the helmet?
Yeah, it's fucking. You can't wear it or nothing. You maybe fit it on a cat.
Well, I mean, because that's just that particular purchase there. Because what you purchased there is home decor, and sometimes that home decor, like, you grow out of it, or sometimes it becomes bedroom decor.
Right. Well, I ended up selling it eventually because
sometimes it broke.
Sometimes it broke too, and it was one of those things where I don't know. I love Master Chief and Halo and shit, but I don't really want his head somewhere in my house. Like,
maybe that's what other people do. Maybe like when it becomes realer, it's like, well, yeah. So I didn't own it. So, oh no, I was thinking of the other option. So I'm gonna get it tattooed.
Oh yeah.
The tattoo is gonna be my collection.
And people are free to do that, I guess.
Yeah. Although now
cool.
with how we're talking about it, with everything else being subscribed to, it's kind of like you're giving yourself little badges. Like, I don't have
merit
it, but
badges.
I have this. Yeah.
Well, see, and
your
actually,
gamer badges on your body.
The thing about it, like, both of my tattoos are kind of like that in a sense. Like, one of them's about perspective, and then one's commemorating my mother. And so I was like, I think that.
Well, I mean, that is tradition of tattoo, is telling your story on your body.
I think so. I think when people it's like people getting fucking Nike swooshes and shit on them. That's what I'm like,
Yeah. Or like, down ass bitch around your neck or something.
That's what I was gonna get. I was gonna get down ass bitch. I'm actually looking to get another tattoo. I'm gonna get a spider symbol on my wrist pretty soon, and I'm excited about that. I think I don't know. I would never judge anybody's tattoo. There's some where I'm like, all right, I wouldn't get that one. But
Yeah, no, and I don't judge it at all. I was just kind of recognizing as we were talking about what you
people
own
do
and how
stack
you
them
have
up
your
like
what you own and how you go and kind of commemorate the things you love. That whole thing, that discussion, it just kind of dawned on me that that's another way people do it. You know,
most definitely. Why not get a badge or a sash? I think once you get, if that's what, if I mean to me, if that's what you want tattoos for, then why not get a sash or some shit?
that'd
like
actually be kind of
a merit hat.
That could kind of be gangster. Like if
Sashes.
no, like
Yeah,
have
like
your
walking
sash
around.
in the room. It's like cool. Went from job to career. So you
Right?
go and make your little badge for that. Like that'd be kind of funny, a little baby badge and stuff. And
dig that.
I don't know if you like this podcast. Yes, you can go ahead and make a badge of that.
Yeah.
Put it on your
We encourage your badge
yeah.
creation.
put it on your sash, or you could share it to your friends. Let them know what's going on. Short day today. We got things to do, people. Tonight we will be playing at Bowls open mic night. Who's coming through?
Paper cutout, as far as I know. Hopefully Joel might roll through again and bring his
Cool.
DJ gear. So
Cool.
maybe I don't have to look like a punk ass. I've been having so many problems with the speakers and shit. Like last week I was like punching myself in the head. And
Last week was a live night too.
it was live.
popping.
It's pissing me off though, man. People going buck wild. It's like
Yeah.
drinking way too much, people getting crazy. I'm like, I want to just deal with the sound issues, but I can't deal with that even because people are freaking out and like
That's
Bogarting.
something for next week when we talk about like being an MC. I think that's a really
Yeah.
applicable circumstance.
I
We'll get
think-
into that whole story. And
I
then
agree.
also MJ's got open mics at Revolver on Garland on Tuesday nights.
Revolver North Tuesday nights. I think he goes 10 to 1.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be stopping in this week.
Cool.
Some people getting at me like, "Why are you not here?" And I was like, "Good question."
I might roll with you.
All right.
I might try to get out there as well.
Doubling up this week.
Well,
All right,
we're-
guys, have a good one. Peace.